What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files podcast, where we talk about our favorite fantasy series and topics. We are your co-hosts, Spencer and Gabe, and today we are discussing the first two books in the Land series by Aleron Kong. If you haven't already, please hit those like and subscribe buttons down below and ring the little bell while you're at it so you can get notified every time we put out new content. You can also follow us on Twitter at Files Fantasy to join our little community over there. Our schedule is a little wonky right now. Gabe is in the process of moving into a new house and stuff, so we're trying to record content when we can. Over the next couple weeks, there might be more just kind of solo reviews from me, but we are gearing up for March, which will hopefully be our Night Angel trilogy videos and a big author interview event where we'll be hanging out with several authors in a big group video and probably just having some beers and talking about all things writing and fantasy. We'll probably go off on a ton of random tangents. It'll be awesome. So you really, really don't want to miss that. With all that out of the way, I don't think there's any other housekeeping. So let's talk about what we've been reading lately. I know you've been super busy, but have you been able to read anything besides The Land? Or
Unfortunately not. I have not. I read The Land, and then just like you said, we've been crazy moving and stuff, and so yeah, I haven't been able to read any more than that.
Have you guys watched any TV over there? Any new shows?
So my girlfriend is of course obsessed with Gossip Girl, and so like I've been just a good boyfriend watching Gossip Girl. I actually do like it though, man. I've like at first it's like, oh, come on, this is like a girl show or whatever, but man, I've like kind of fell into it a little bit, and I've enjoyed it. And then of course Euphoria, we've been watching that and keeping up. We've been missing. We missed the last two episodes. So last night, I think we watched the first episode that we missed, which is the, of course, second to the new one or whatever.
Right.
And so we watched that one, and man, dude, that show is incredible.
It's so good.
It makes me, yeah. It's a little like emotional, it hits close home, but man, it is a good show. Really good.
I think today's Monday, isn't it? I definitely missed last night's episode.
Okay.
So I'm gonna watch that after this. Yeah.
I will probably try and watch it tonight. I don't know if I'll get through it. I'm pretty tired, but we'll see. But I haven't seen the newest episode either. Just the one before that.
Yeah, Euphoria is getting really good.
Yeah.
And this season is pretty different from the last season.
For sure.
Just in the way that it's like, the way that it's shot, it's like very art house, like kind of artsy, the way that it's filmed. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I feel like the one complaint I have with this season is that I feel like the story is kind of unfolding slower than the season before it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the season before it, like every episode was like, they did what? And like, it was crazy.
For sure. Yep.
And this season has had a few of those moments with Fezco. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
No, you're good.
Fezco beating the shit out of somebody. That was wild. Yes. And that was in like the last.
Dude, I wanted it to happen so bad. Like I won't say anymore, but I was like stoked about that. I was like stoked about it.
I know. I was like, when that scene first happened, when it was just starting, I was like, oh, he's going to like hit him, or he's going to like hit him a couple times. But then he like beats the shit out of him.
Like literally puts him in the hospital. Oh my like bad.
God,
like, really,
dude.
Yeah, dude.
That was wild.
For sure.
The other moment, and I think this was not on the last episode or the episode you just saw, but the one before that.
Okay.
But Rue goes to someone's apartment and makes a big purchase.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Absolutely.
Oh
Absolutely.
man.
Not even a big purchase, man. It was like one of those things.
Alone.
Yeah, a loan. Exactly. Exactly. And it was like a huge loan.
Yeah.
Like
I was like,
I was terrified because dude, yeah. I'm not gonna say anymore, but yeah,
I
that's
was
nuts.
just like, there's no way that could possibly come back to
Nope.
bite her in the ass, right? Like,
Of course it will. Come on now.
oh, this is gonna
Yeah.
go so fucking south.
Yep.
But yeah, so other than Euphoria, I don't think I've talked about this yet on the podcast, but I have gotten back into Sword Art Online, as you know.
Yep. We talked about it.
And we have got to do a dedicated Sword Art Online video sometime in the future. I really hope
I'm down.
I really hope that you can like get a block of time to just like binge everything that I've watched so far.
Well,
that we
so
could
here's
talk
the
about
thing.
it.
I've seen it so many times. Like I've probably watched at least the first two, sort of online, and then number
Yeah.
two. I've probably seen them at least like maybe 6 or 7 times a piece. So like
That's true. Yeah.
I can like I know what happens. The third one though,
Yeah.
whatever that's called. That one I'll probably need to rewatch that, but like
Okay.
I could talk about it. Like the first two, I got that on lock. I could do that.
For sure. So do you want to know what I think of Alicization?
Yes, please.
So I am at the point. Oh, you know what point I'm at, where they're on the side of the tower.
Okay, is that where you stopped? Like have they gotten to the top or whatever, or are they just climbing it?
I think they just got to the top, but nothing has happened yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you stopped there. Okay, that's fine. I was curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that whole entire scene with him and his sword, and like they're like working their way up and they're still kind of like frenemies almost. Yeah, dude, it
made
so
my
good.
butthole clench up. It made my butthole clench up, dude.
Yes, dude.
I was just like, oh my god. And he's just hanging there by his sword.
Yep.
And then he makes the rod that he puts into the wall, and he like flips up and he stands on the rod. Okay, and then she falls, but she's connected to him.
And and
he's like, oh, and he's like hanging onto her with the chain. And I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. Was it a rod or was it a sword? And again, it's been a little while.
So
I do remember the scene.
At first he has his sword in the thing, and then he creates like a metal rod that he puts up above it.
Gotcha.
And
that's what they use to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He like takes his sword out and he climbs up the thing.
Yep.
But dude, that was wild. Like that was so terrifying. But so what I think of the season overall so far
and
is
clarify just Alice's or Alicization, whatever it's called. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I watched this a while ago, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
And I had seen the old Sword Art Online a bunch when I was younger, way younger.
Yep.
But so then going into this third Sword Art Online, Alicization, I went into it before and I was just like, man, I don't really like this. Like, it's not.
I'm like, I remember that, dude. I think that I told you to watch it like when we first met, almost.
Yeah.
Like very soon, and you're like, yeah, it's kind of different, whatever. Yeah.
And so at first, like when that happened, I was like, I really don't like this. I really liked them like being in the game and like doing things in the game. And I'm like, I don't really understand what's happening. And so I think I gave up shortly, somewhere around the point I am now.
Yep.
And so starting at this time, I watched from season 1 all the way to now.
Nice.
And I have such an appreciation for this third season.
Yes, I'm so happy.
Dude, I am liking it a lot.
It was, yeah, dude. It
And
is my favorite out of all of Sword Art Online. This last season you're watching, dude. I cannot wait for you to continue because like
yeah,
you're at the starting point, right? And it just gets insane after this, like crazy. Like there's so much that
yeah.
happens, so much.
I'm super looking forward to it. And I think so here's kind of my final verdict on it so far.
Yep.
I think that this is the most well produced season. I think that this is the best season as far as dialogue.
Yep.
I think that this is the best season in terms of I guess consequences, but just like maturity, like the maturity of the world. It feels
sure.
like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like it feels like a real storyline.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is the best in all of those respects, but I think that my favorite will always be that first Aincrad season. Just for me, like my personal, like I think this is way better produced than that season, but I am just so nostalgic for that first season.
Yep. I totally agree with you. I could not argue that, man, because it is, that's what like brought us into it, right? Like that's what we first see and whatnot. So I will never argue that it's not, that's definitely what like opened everything up.
Right.
But I agree with like the graphics and like everything else, the dialogue, storyline, and the last one is like it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that journey. I'll probably watch Euphoria tonight and watch some Sword Art Online.
Nice.
As far as things that I've been reading, so I just read, I actually have a copy of this for you too, but it's called Paladin Unbound. One of our friends, our author friends on Twitter, sent us some codes for the audiobook.
Awesome.
And it's pretty good. Like it's probably not my favorite read of the year, but a lot of it's not the same story at all, but just the way that it's written, it reminded me a lot of the Land.
Okay.
And so I kind of wonder if you would like it. I think you would. It wasn't super hard to follow. There was good characters.
Can you give me just like a quick, like 30-second, just quick rundown, just like a base thing? Okay, let's hear that.
So Umra is this paladin, and he is half orc and half human.
Okay.
And he lives in this land where paladins kind of obey the old gods, and there's this new church that has invaded the land, and so paladins are basically outlawed. Like if you're a paladin, like you are hated.
Okay.
Because you're seen as being like a blasphemer or a heretic or whatever.
Yeah, just against the church.
Yeah. And so he Umra kind of keeps his paladin nature a secret, and he is in a band of mercenaries. But then at the beginning of the book, there's like just everybody dies, and except for him. And so then he kind of goes on to figure out like how, like who this person was, because like he killed the person that killed them, but he has to figure out like what this bigger organization is that they're a part of.
Yeah.
And so then he kind of meets up with another group that kind of takes him into their group and befriends him, and they all become like a family. And they go on this quest throughout the whole book to hunt down the people that are responsible for this.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's not like grimdark at all. It's more of like a brighter, it's more of like a brighter fantasy, just like high fantasy kind of stuff.
And so I'm assuming that the paladins are probably magic users, right? It's just
so that's long.
Okay.
So he's got this pendant. I think he calls it his icon, and he pulls it out, and this magical armor flows over him, like this silver
Oh,
armor,
okay.
like
Gotcha.
Iron Man.
Yep.
Just goes
Yep.
boom, 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 and it like
Yeah, for
comes over
sure.
him.
For sure.
And he can use different types of like holy magic and stuff.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah,
It's
dude,
pretty
that
cool.
sounds like something I would probably like. Yeah, if you have a copy, I'll take it and I'll read it.
For sure. Yeah, and the narrator was pretty good too.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome.
So then I'm also reading I'm still reading a physical copy that I got sent by one of our author friends on Twitter of this book called We Break Immortals. And it would take way too long to go into like what exactly this book is about.
Yeah.
But well, maybe so basically magic users are very it's not like outlawed, but people are very, very like suspicious of them. Like people do not like magic users in this world. And there's this magic user that is going around who is basically a serial killer.
Oh, wow.
And so these characters, you have like 3 different viewpoints, and they're all hunting this guy, but they're not like working together. Like they don't know each other. And so eventually, of course, it gets to the point where they all kind of like team up and, you know, they eventually meet. And one of the people is a drug addict. He's basically like a crime scene investigator type person.
And a drug addict at the same time? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And he uses this powder called Malagain that he like sticks his hand in his pouch and he puts his fingers up his nose and like sniffs it.
Whoa.
And it's like a very addictive drug.
Oh, okay.
And so he's using that throughout the whole book while he's hunting this serial killer. And then there's another person who is also a magic user who is hunting this serial killer type person. And then there's like a rogue warrior kind of character that is that's hunting him, and then they all kind of band together.
Yep.
And man, it is really, really good so far.
Nice.
I think I would go so far as to say, and I'm really bummed that there's no audiobook for this because it's a huge book and it's taking me forever to get through it.
Yeah.
And I think that there is a audiobook, not immediately in the works, but eventually there will be an audiobook that he puts out. I think he's actually talking to RJ Bailey about doing the audiobook for it. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I kept telling him, I was messaging the author the other day. I'm like, dude, I know I've said this before, but RJ Bailey would be perfect for this book. And he's like, oh, I'm talking to him. I'm talking to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go.
Yep. Heck yeah.
Dude, honestly, I would go so far as to say We Men of Ash and Shadow was like my number one, not only my number one favorite book for last year, but it was also my most surprisingly appreciated book. Like it was the one that I was just like blown away with.
Yep.
I think that We Break Immortals is going to be that for this year.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think it's, you know, I'm about 25 to 30% of the way through it.
How many pages is the book?
I think it's like 800.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's a big
book.
Chonker. Yeah. Yep. It would probably be like a 35-hour audiobook.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And but yeah, I really think it's a little too early to say, but I think it very well could be my number one book of 2022.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it a lot.
Awesome.
And then last but not least, speaking of really good books, I am reading this book called The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward.
You mentioned that, I think,
in the group message.
In the group chat. Exactly.
Dude, this book is fucking wild. I have not had my mind blown like this in so long. Basically it's a thriller.
Okay.
And this girl kind of goes missing at the beginning of the book.
Yep.
And she's like a 6-year-old and she goes missing and somebody kidnapped her.
Oh, wow.
And then you meet this guy named Ted who has a very weird life. He's very like socially fucked up. And he has all sorts of like mental problems, I guess.
Yep.
And then you meet this character called D. I forget what her full name is, but people call her D.
Yeah.
And she is the sister to the girl that went missing. And so throughout this book, and Dee's whole life, she's like trying to find the person that kidnapped her sister when they were young. And so at this point in the story, her sister would be like 17 years old. So it's been like 10 years or so since she was kidnapped. So Dee is like hunting this person, like trying to find whoever kidnapped her sister. And then we're also following Ted, who has some odd connection to the girl that went missing, but you don't know how. And so it gets to the point where you're asking yourselves, like, is this guy a serial killer? Like, is this guy a murderer? Does he kidnap kids? Yep. And Ted has a daughter who just acts very weird, and she's there sometimes and she's not there sometimes. And it's just very, very weird.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading this, I'm listening to this book, and I'm coming up with all these theories, right? All the way to the very end. I have like an hour of the book left.
Yeah.
And I have all these theories, and I feel like I'm usually pretty good at theories. Yep. I feel like I usually
for
have
sure. Dude,
a mind for it.
Trust me. I've known you for a long time, and you have like nailed so many that I've never thought of. You are very good at theories for sure.
Thanks. But yeah, so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, it's got to be this. And then something would refute that. And I'd be like, okay. And I changed my theory.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's got to be this. It's got to be this. And then something would twist it again.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I am now at the end of this book. I've gone through at least 5 adjusted theories, and none of them have been correct. Not even close.
That's crazy.
Not even anywhere close.
And so have you finished it? Like have you?
So yeah. So I have an hour left on this book, and I can honestly say I have no idea how this thing is going to end.
Wow.
I am like all my theories have been wrong. I have no clue how this thing is going to wrap up, but I have a feeling that it's going to be amazing, because every single twist that has happened so far, it's been so like mind blowing. Like I just so did not see it coming at all, that it made me question everything. Like,
wow.
Every new twist made me question everything that happened earlier in the book. And I should also say, for anybody who's listening and thinking about starting this book, I will say that the beginning of the book is a little tough. Not because it's hard to read, but because it is very weird. Because the first person you meet is Ted, and he has like a lot of like mental issues. And so you're kind of in his head.
Hold on. Are we like, so mental issues, like, does he have like schizophrenia? Does he like hear voices or see stuff, or like depression? I'm just curious to what they are.
So it's pretty psychological. I don't know how to explain it. Like he calls, like he says things like the green men live upstairs and they're not very nice to me. Like he's just fucking crazy.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's fine.
Yeah.
I just was curious. That's all.
Exactly. And so, the first couple chapters, you're just like in his head, and you're listening to like all this like crazy stuff. And some of it makes sense. Like there's like a story there that you can understand, but it's very, very weird.
Yeah.
And so a friend from Twitter had recommended this book. And I was like, you know what? This was one of the books that we were going to read for our, one of the books that I was considering for the Halloween episode we did last year.
Yep.
But we ended up doing Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
And this has been sitting on my wish list for a long time. And so I'm like, you know what? I trust your taste in books. And if you are really liking it, then I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I am just I'm so glad I did. But the
Nice.
beginning, when I got into it, I sent her a message and I was like, what the fuck do you have me reading? Like, this shit is so
Oh,
weird. And
how?
she's like, just wait, it gets better. Like, just make it through the first like couple hours.
Okay. That's what I
Yeah,
was gonna ask. Like how long did it take for it to get good? But that's fair. I can,
yeah.
if I want to read it, I can do that. That's
Yeah,
doable.
exactly. And it's not going to be to the point where you're like, I have no idea what's going on,
Yeah.
because there's things he's doing and you understand like what he's doing. But it's just so weird. Like, it almost like makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's so
Okay. All
weird.
right. Interesting.
And so yeah, I think everybody should read this book. I'm having such a great time with it.
Cool.
It is
Cool.
absolutely bonkers, but it is phenomenal. And now I'm going to go look at every other book this person's written, because I'm like, this is genius. Like, the book is certified genius.
Yeah.
The way that everything tied together and the way that everything plays out, it's just fucking brilliant. And so I'm like, I'm going to go read every other book that they've done.
Awesome, dude. Hell yeah. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to read it.
All right. Should we get into our discussion
Let's
on the land?
do it. I'm ready.
All right, everybody, this is your spoiler warning for the
Yes.
first two books in the land. If you have not read these, then you might want to turn back now, unless you don't mind spoilers. So 3, 2, 1, you've been warned. All right, so the land. There are more colons in this title than the human centipede.
Oh, man.
I quote, it is the land, founding, chaos seeds, book 1, a lit RPG saga.
Yep, that is the truth. It is a little extensive. Yes, it is. Oh man, that's funny.
And that's what's funny about that title too, is we were doing a little bit of research before recording here, and we were like, what is the name of this series? Is it the land, or is it the chaos seeds?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
It gets a little confusing.
Yeah,
but
it does for sure. Well, because I mean, it really is. It's like both. Like on his website, it literally is like litrpg.com, and it's the land. But then you look at everywhere else, it's Chaos Seed series. It's like, it's weird.
How many books are in this series? Do you know?
I think there's either 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've read them all.
I've read them all like several times. Yeah, several times.
And you've been trying to get me to read this series for a while now.
For a while. Yep. For a while.
And honestly, like, I'll be upfront at the beginning.
Be honest, dude. Be honest. You're all good.
I was not a huge fan of these books per se. I mean, they got better as they went on.
Yep.
But I am excited to talk about this because you're my best friend and I know that you love this series.
Yeah.
And like, anytime that I get to hear you talk about something that you're passionate about is a good day for me.
Hell yeah. Yep.
So, I'm excited just to hear, now that I know a little bit about the land, I'm excited to hear, some of your takes on it.
For sure.
How would you define lit RPG?
So this is the only, there's like so many other lit RPG books out there, right? And this is like, I've like maybe like listened to the like the little intro or whatever that they give her for free, and other audiobooks and stuff. And this is like, it is like a game, right? Like you're a gamer, I'm a gamer, we both play RPGs. And it's like that. But I think that the way that this one hits me so hard is that Nick Podell, first of all, does an incredible job. Like he does the voices so well. The comedic, like, when somebody does something funny, like he hits it so well, and I'm just cracking up, and whatnot. And then again, like, just the whole setup of all that happens is like just great. Like, I don't really have anything else to compare it to, but like this is
Yeah.
I just love it. I've always loved it.
So have you thought about reading other lit RPGs?
I have, but I've been afraid to, and the reason why is because I've like Googled it or looked it up, and they're like, man, like nothing like really is as good. Like he is
Huh.
like the king of lit RPG. And I'm like, I could try it, but I'm like, I don't know if I'll like it. And again, that's all on me. I should try them
Yeah.
just to see. But I don't want to spend the credit and buy the book,
Yeah.
right? Like if I don't like it. And I've listened to three, and I don't remember the names. I could probably look them up. Three other like smaller lit RPG people or whatever books. Just the intros, and it's like they weren't great.
Huh.
They didn't hit the same as this does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of been interested to look into it myself because I wasn't like a super huge fan of these,
Yeah.
but I think that if the lit RPG setting was done, in a way that just connects better with me, I might like it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how other authors do it, or if they are all like, if it's all like somebody getting portaled into a game, or if other people just have worlds where like these menus pop up and they can, do their
Yeah.
thing. Or I think the thing that would sell me the most on a lit RPG book, if there wasn't this constant, like you gained 35 points in herb lore or whatever, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff that popped up.
Yep.
Oh my God. It got to the point where anytime he would level up, or anytime he would get like more points to a skill or something,
You would like mute it,
I would
like mute.
fast forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Dude,
fast forward
I know,
every
I
time.
know. And so honestly, dude, like the thing, like I like will listen to that stuff, but I agree with you. Like it's not those points, like just the storyline that you can follow is awesome. But I agree that stuff will get annoying for sure.
For
There's no way around it.
for you, for someone who has listened to these so many times, do you, when those things pop up with like the levels and stuff,
Yeah.
is that something that you're like tracking up here? Like you kind of know what level he's at in certain things, or
I no, probably not. I'm not like tracking it like mentally like the whole time, like
yeah,
because of course like he'll level up and then he'll be, oh, you reach level 38, and then like I'll know like he's 38 until he reaches 39. But when he
right.
like levels his skills and stuff, like I don't really follow it. I just kind of like, oh cool, like oh man, you mastered this or you did this or whatever, and then continue. And it does again. I agree with you. It is annoying a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's I just push through it, I just push through it.
There was one point, I think it was right before, on the day that I was coming to help you move,
Yeah.
and I was in the truck, and like one of those things popped up, and he had gotten like a ton of them in a row.
Yeah. And
And
they'll last like literally like 4 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I know.
I was fast forward.
Yeah.
I think I fast forwarded like 6 times, 6 or 7 times, and it
Oh
was
man.
still going.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
was just like, oh my God, like kill me now. Um,
Oh.
but so something I did kind of like though was when he would get a new spell or an item of
Yep.
some kind, and then it would pay off later, and you would see him use that spell or
Yeah,
use that item in a
for
certain
sure.
situation that has to
Yep.
do with that.
Yep.
And I really liked that. I really liked it when he got the bag that could hold a bunch of
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, dude, that
So
his
useful.
his bag of holding that he gets like
Yeah.
literally sets the entire series up. Like I'm telling you, I'm not gonna ruin anything, but
Yeah.
that is like that is a key component for the rest of the books, all of them.
Yeah.
That's a big moment right there when he gets that bag.
Well, because otherwise he would have to
Yeah, there's
like
there's
hold
no
everything like
yeah,
you would in real
that's
life.
what I'm saying. Exactly. So like it like and even like when even in the second book, like right when he has his village and he's got kind of stuff figured out, you see it and it's got the weight, reduction of whatever, 90% or whatever. And trust me, later that comes in handy more than you would ever think.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
He got he got a bunch of different stuff, like a staff, like I think a frost staff or something. And then he little by little he was getting better and better armor, which was fun to see.
When he got that, I think in the first book he got
like a sprite armor or something.
So when he first originally got to the land, right, and then he made his way through the forest and had that issue with Scion and whatever that girl was, and met the Hearth Mother, she gave him like the cheap sprite armor, right, to go do his mission or whatever with the wolves. And then of course I think the second book is when he gets like the enhanced sprite armor. And that's like, and again, this won't ruin anything, he uses that armor like almost all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like it's really good armor.
What kind of if you had to give him a class, does he have any specific class later in the books? Like, is he more of like a rogue or just a straight up warrior or archer?
Nope, none of those. I would say the best probably way to describe him throughout is a light armor magic user. He's a caster.
Oh, really? I wouldn't have expected that.
Yep, that's all. He's just a caster with light armor. And of course, you know, he gets like really good weapons and whatnot in the future and stuff. But yeah, caster is mostly his thing.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. So if I can just complain about something real quick.
Dude, you're good. Go for it. You're totally fine.
So I got so mad at the info dumps because whether it was the tool, whether it was the tool tips or just a character like giving you info. Cause I like to see, I very much adhere, or I mean, I don't adhere to the rule of it, but I like when authors adhere to the rule of show, don't tell. And I feel like a lot of characters in these books were just spouting info. I'm like, man, I really would have loved to have just like learned that in a situation or something.
No, for sure. For sure. That dude, that is that's totally true. Like that happens all throughout. It gets better in the later books, I think. And you start to kind of get some stuff that you're like, okay, all right, now I see why that works. But yeah, in the beginning, it's just a lot of info dumps for sure.
I think the most egregious example of this was right at the beginning. Richter wakes up in the land and he's got this goblin on his chest and he is just beating you over the head with exposition. And he kept saying too, he's like, this is not a game. This is not a game. And I'm just like, first of all, how does he know what a game is? And I'm just like,
yes. Okay. I'm not going to say anything about that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Also, did I go to Goodwill and pick up a stuffed teddy bear just to punch it on the podcast? Yes, I did. Will I probably strangle it throughout this episode? Yeah, I probably will.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I love it. Like you're honest and whatnot. Oh, just really quick overall.
Yeah.
Give me a rating of the whole thing. Like, was it like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10? Before we just continue, I'm just curious. I know it's a tough,
I would say, okay. So here's what I'm going to say.
Yep.
If I can put my fucking mouse back together. There we go. It always falls off my lap.
That's okay.
I would say that the first book was like a 3 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Yep. And
then the second book started off as like a 6 out of 10, but by the end of it, it got to be like a 7 out of 10 or a 6.5, 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, you know, that's something that's interesting about these books is it, like, I started off hating it, but they did get better.
Yeah. And
so there's a part of me that wonders, I'm like, should I get the third one and see if it just gets better and better? Or do you, what do you think? Like, if I didn't like these books, will they get better and I'll like them more?
So they do. They definitely get better after the second book. I think that the last 2 books slow down a little bit and are kind of like hard to get through. they're important if you want to follow the story or whatnot, but they're definitely like, especially the last one, like it's like kind of a slog, it's like there's some weird stuff that happens, there's a crazy battle, and then some stuff happens that it's slow, almost all the way through. It's like important,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think for sure the next couple books will be better. Maybe you'll like read the last book and be like, no, but I know for a fact that the growth, let me hold on, let me see how I can say this. The growth of the village, right?
Yeah.
That whole thing that grows more, and it gets
Okay.
better, and everything, like you get more action and whatnot. And then there's a little bit more battles and stuff in the next couple books, and they're pretty actiony, and there's like kind of this arc of yeah, I shouldn't.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna ruin it if I
For
keep
sure.
going. But,
For
but yeah,
sure.
it does. The next couple books are much better. The last one was a little slow, and so again, I'm waiting for the next one after that, and we'll see.
So
Because I think.
that
Go
was going to
ahead.
be my next question
Yep.
is, so the books aren't over then?
No,
They're
no,
still
no.
going.
Yep, they're still good. So he is writing them currently, and
Okay.
it might take a year or however long, but he is writing them.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
So let's talk about this dichotomy of the books don't want you to believe that this is a game, but it absolutely is a game.
Well, no, but they do tell you that though in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they explain that it's a game at first, and then after that, you almost kind of forget that it's a game. You're just like in this mode, of Richter, and he's doing his thing, and you don't really like think about the fact that he's in the game. And then in the future, like that part about the game will come up later in the
Okay.
books. Yeah.
So to be honest, I kind of felt the opposite. I felt
Okay.
like because of all the like you just received a quest and all this stuff, I felt like it kept reminding me that it was a game.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I was
Yep.
like, if it doesn't want me to believe that this is a game, why does it keep trying to remind me that there's all these game mechanics? And
So,
so
yep.
is this weird? It was so hard to like put my finger on exactly
Yeah.
where the real world ends and the game begins.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I didn't know if if the NPCs, for lack of a better term, could see the menus and stuff. Like I didn't know if they could see like the little tool tips that pop
Yep.
up. But I think they can, right?
Yeah. Oh, so okay. So, um, uh, Richter at the very first book, when he's doing his thing like in just VR, right? When he's with his friends and he gets to the portal and whatever, and he gets transferred to the land, like the real land, or what, I guess, yeah, not real, but basically he gets in there, and then everybody else, all the NPCs or people, I mean, they're,
Yeah.
like they're in the land, they have the same menus, drop downs, whatever, but they're like real, like it's been their life all the time, like they've never known anything different, like it's just how
Huh.
it's how things is for them. And then Chaos Seeds are the only people that have dropped into the land and been, like known a past life, basically in a different place. And I know that
Right.
sounds so confusing. And again, like later in the books, like that will like kind of explain itself, and you'll see more of them and whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, it is weird, dude. It is confusing, and I get that. It is confusing. That's pretty much it. It's
What
confusing.
what about do we ever see Richter's friends again? Because I thought that they all went into the land together.
No. So he was the only one that went into the land through that portal. After he went through, the portal either shut or whatever else, and we don't ever see his friends again. We do see other Chaos Seeds in the future.
Okay.
People that were brought through the same portal and down, and there's some like Chaos Seeds, of course, have like certain powers, and they've got like chaos uh stuff that they can do, that eventually like levels up and stuff and gets weird. Not weird, but just
Yeah.
powerful. And so, yeah, so there's a lot more to it than that.
Okay. This is probably a spoiler for a future book, but just a yes or no.
Yep.
Do, do is there a reason why Richter was chosen to come into the land
Yes.
specifically?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, okay. So let me say that it was just in the first book when he went there, it was kind of like the portal that he saw was set up by like the Dark Court. You know the things like
Yeah.
the prequels or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, this all gets explained later, further on in the books. So it was really like anybody's game. He was the first one in there. He went in there, portal shut, and so, but that happens like there's like a lot of chaos seeds that get into the land.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So something that kind of bugged me a little bit was Richter, every time he dies,
Yeah.
he respawns.
Yep.
And I don't know what happens in the later books, but in
Okay.
these books, I felt like maybe it was just hard to like worry about him dying. You know what I mean? Because he's just gonna respawn.
Yeah. So let me just clear that up. There, he has limited response. That's all I'm gonna say. Yep.
Oh,
They're limited. They're limited, and that gets shown in the next couple books. Yeah, they're limited.
okay,
Yep.
yeah, that fixes a lot of
Yeah, yeah, they are limited for sure. And even in the next book, like they will explain most of that for everything
Okay.
about the response and stuff.
I'm oddly getting more and more like thinking more and more about picking up the next
Dude,
book.
I'm telling you, dude, like just I swear to God, like you and I have similar tastes, right? Like we
Yeah,
always have in books, always. We've liked
yeah,
the same stuff. Sometimes we have our differences. And
sure.
I know that this is a little weird, it's different, but I'm telling you, dude, if you continue reading these books, like you will like them. I swear to you, you will like them.
Which book do you think, like, would it be like book 4 or something that if I finished book 4 and still didn't like it, then I'd probably just am not going to like it? Like, which book in the series
So
would you recommend people
I
get
would
to?
probably say probably book 4 is good. I think book 3 um yeah, I think book 3 moves along pretty well. There's a lot that happens, and then book 4 you get and then no, book 5. That's it. Read to book
Okay.
5. Just try and get there because that's when like all of the chaos stuff comes open and you learn about everything else. And then book like 6 and 7, and maybe there's not even 8, but the last 2 are kind of iffy, although there's
Okay.
like some pretty insane like scenes that are like worth reading, like crazy good fight scenes. And then the
Okay.
last book is the one that's like slow, but the way that he writes it, right? It's so slow. And the very last book's so slow, and you listen to it, you suffer through or whatever, but then it sets you up and you're like just itching for the next one. You're like, I cannot wait to see what happens in the next book. Like it's perfect writing. But yeah,
Okay.
I would say book 5.
Do you know what his release date is for the next book or
I do
release
not
window?
know.
Oh,
I have no clue. I just know that he's working on it right now. I'm not sure. I could look it up. I could Google
yeah.
it probably right now and see, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Um, so what is, like, if you had to pick one or two things that you would say like your favorite things about these books, like why are they so addicting for you?
Okay. Yep. And so I would say, um, first of all, Richter as a character is he I just think he's a great character. I think that like he makes me laugh like so much. Like some of the quotes and sometimes like just the stuff he does is hilarious. And then the second thing would be just the world building. The way that he builds his village, uh, the way that he like deals with people and deals with other leaders and stuff is like really, really incredible. Like he does the way that he writes it is just it's just awesome. Like it's hard to explain, I
Yeah.
guess. But I would say world building would be the thing that because there's a lot of that in it, a lot of it.
Okay. Does he get like more, I guess, mature as a character? Because the thing that I didn't like about him in these books
Yep.
was that I felt like he kept making like selfish mistakes, like when he brings down the barrier of his
Yeah,
village
yeah,
in order
yeah.
to use that magic, because he's like, oh, like
And
it would be
and
super cool if I
for
had a
sure.
animal
Yep,
companion.
yep.
And people were like, dude, like you didn't need the animal companion, like we needed a barrier for the village.
Yeah, yeah.
And so does he start learning from his mistakes? Because I
Yes.
feel like he made a
Yep.
lot of those.
Most definitely. That is a huge point in the writing. I think the way that Aleron Kong wrote this was like for that reason, right? Like he makes these mistakes, and then he gets advice from people and he learns from them, and he does grow. He's still like goofy, right? And like
Yeah.
funny and stuff, but he definitely grows in the way that he thinks about his village. His village is like very important to him, especially the next book.
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. Like he'll do anything to protect it. And so yes, he does grow from his mistakes and he gets mature and he does all that stuff.
Nice.
Much
I
more. Yeah.
I did really like the village parts of
Yeah.
the book, of
Yeah.
him building up
Dude,
the
it
village.
gets
And
the next book is like full of village. It's so much better, dude. It's so much better.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked all the people in the village,
Yep.
and just kind of the way that he was at that one city, Leafs Crossing or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
where I,
Mama.
I yeah, Mama.
Yeah.
Yep,
Mama.
yeah,
Yep.
Mama.
Mama. For sure.
And yeah,
Yeah. She's,
I really
yep.
liked her
Yeah. Yeah.
as
I
a
did too.
character.
I did too. She's a badass. She's a hardcore lady, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a badass.
I liked her a lot.
Yep.
And she helped him get these people over
Yep.
to his village, and it was kind of like asking the question of, why do you want to have these people over there? Like
Yeah.
what can you actually offer them if
Yeah.
they go over there? And he had to think for a minute, because he's so used to playing video games
For
where he
sure.
doesn't really have to think about the
Yep.
people that are,
Yep.
in his real-time strategy games or
Yeah.
whatever. And so, he has to figure out, like, okay, like what can I offer them?
Yeah.
And he has to like have this conversation with them about like, hey, this is like a small village. Like you are getting in on the ground
Yep.
floor. Like
And we
I'm
need
gonna
your like,
do yeah,
yeah.
like I'm
Yep.
gonna do my best to pay you and stuff, but I can't guarantee you anything other than like my loyalty and the fact that like I will not leave you.
Basically like what it was, and that's on point, but he basically told him like, hey, I've got this village. It is just bare ground. I will give you a safe place to live. I'll pay you the best I can, and I need your help to build. Really. I
Right.
mean, that's like what it was,
Yeah.
And
Um, so I see your note here about Aleron Kong.
yep.
He names himself the father of lit RPG,
Yeah. Yeah.
but and I have a couple small issues
No,
with him.
I knew you would. That's fine.
So so apparently he got into a pretty big argument with this Russian guy who actually had made something called lit RPG before Aleron
Oh,
did.
okay.
And Aleron was saying, he's like, I'm the father of lit RPG. And this guy's like, I mean, if we really want to, pull hairs about it, he's like, I made the first lit RPG. And so
Yeah.
they kind of got into it a little bit. And then I guess Aleron Kong tried to copyright the word
Him.
lit RPG.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that's kind of
Yeah.
a dick move,
Yep.
dude. Like
For sure.
that would be like trying to copyright Grimdark, and then no
Yeah.
other author could use
ever
the
use it.
term
Yeah, for sure.
Grimdark.
Because dude,
Um,
even on Audible, like I see lit RPG on like several different things. Like they like
yeah,
may hide it or whatever, but yeah, that seems outrageous.
yeah. So I don't think he was able
Yeah.
to end up
Yeah.
copywriting it.
Yeah.
But he certainly is probably the most prolific lit RPG author, because he's put out so many books.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I think he even has a whole other series besides the
So
land that he's written.
that's one thing that I wanted to talk about that you just brought up. So I think it's called God's Eye Awakening. It's a series that starts after the in the future, in the next book. What is it called? It changes to like instead of the EBG. God, dude, I'm sorry. I'm like,
EBG.
yeah. So you know, in the land, like when they talk, like they'll say date is like 1052 EBG, era
Oh
banished
yeah,
gods.
yeah.
So that changes in the future, and that changes to something else. And then that series, God's Eye Awakening, starts when the era changes.
Okay.
And I've like listened to like maybe like probably 10 minutes of it, and I didn't like it. Like I
Oh
wasn't
really?
like, yeah, I was. And again, I should listen to more because like I like him as a writer, but like I couldn't grasp on to that series. But
Why?
he
What was it? What was wrong with it?
so it was just, man, it's hard to explain. It was just not the same. Like it was like
Yeah.
uh it was like, yeah, it's hard to explain. I don't know if I could, but it's like it's different for sure. It's like the same kind of style, but they don't. He doesn't like play things the same way. The world doesn't work the same way. It's
Oh,
like
interesting.
almost like a like our world, but like, and then all of a sudden like the world changes, then you get like magic power. I don't know. It was just weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 2018, he got a award for Audible's customer favorite of the year.
Oh, so that's different though from like author of the year, right? Like that's like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just this is for the first book.
okay.
And it looks like I don't know if it goes by how many people downloaded it or how
Yeah.
many people gave it a 5-star review or
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
But he got an Audible award for it. And as I was going through the reviews for it the other day because I was like, how many people like this series as opposed to how many don't? And I'll try to show this. So I don't know if you can kind of see it there, but basically the where it says 5-star, the bar is like almost full. And
Wow.
then there's like 4-star, and there's hardly any
Four star
three
ratings.
no
Or,
3, 2, and
oh,
1
okay.
ratings.
Oh, wow.
And so like so many people,
Yeah.
so just to put it in perspective, 22,690 people gave this a 5-star rating,
Wow. Yeah.
and only 646 people gave it a 1-star rating.
Yeah.
So 22,000 people more than the 1-star rating gave it a
Yeah.
5-star rating.
That's
And
crazy.
that it blew my mind
Yeah.
looking through those reviews. I was like, wow, like I am in the minority for someone. Like if I was reviewing this on Audible, I'd probably give it like
Three or
the
four.
first book, I would probably give it a 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm definitely the minority in
For
the
sure.
group. Like a ton of people love this series.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. And I'm sure that's in no small part due to Nick Podell.
Yes,
Nick
definitely.
Podell,
Most definitely,
of
man.
course, does a
He
fantastic
Yeah,
job.
he is a huge part. I love the setup and the way that this works, but his uh vocalizations and the way that he like talks and brings the comedic value is like huge to me. Like it's like his voice is probably the like what Richter says is funny, but Nick Bodell brings it all. Like he brings it
Yeah,
all there. And that's like that's what I love, I think, about this. Not or I love both, but he's incredible.
for sure, for sure. Um, let's see. You have a note here about how he portrays the comedy.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that in part to Nick Podell, just the way that his comedic
So
timing?
so yes, I think it's a part to both. There's some lines that, and unfortunately I do not have them here, and I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But there's some lines that Richter says that are just like so like snap comedy, like especially with him and Sion together, like they're always just hilarious. Like like they'll just like give each other shit, and the way that they do it is so funny. And then of course Nick Podell like adds to that, of course. And
Right.
so yeah, just the comedic value that he can bring to whatever Aleron Kong writes is like genuinely awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was a few parts. I think that I don't know. I honestly don't know why, but a lot of the humor didn't land for me, but
Yeah.
there was a few times that we'll get into in a little bit
Yep.
that really made me laugh out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about the world building.
Okay.
So as far as we know, the name in these first two books, the
Yep.
name of the world is just the land,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. That's what everybody calls it. It is the land.
And then the area that they're in is the peninsula, the
The
river
river.
peninsula.
Yep. River Peninsula. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so we see a lot of that. What about what are the different factions that we see? Because we see the sprites and we
So
see the humans.
we see the sprites and we see Eve, and then I don't want to mess this up. Of course, do we talk about the gnomes, like the gnome factions that are like the bone tribe, or I think maybe, or
I
something like
can't
that?
I think we learn more about the dwarfs than we do the
The dwarf,
gnomes.
that's what I meant, dwarfs. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like the bone tribe that we heard about, but other than that, I think that's really it.
Okay.
Of course, like we see all of the like races and stuff, but other than
Right.
that, faction wise, like it's just the humans, and we hear about the dwarfs and whatnot, that are across the thing and whatever. But that's really it for these two books. Eventually,
Okay.
like you'll learn about a ton of people and whatnot.
Okay. I thought it was interesting how when Richter finally got a map, he
Yeah.
realized that he had only seen 1% of
Yep.
1% of the world.
Yep. Yep.
So this place is huge.
Huge. And so there's a point where, and this won't ruin anything, there's a point where Hisako tells him, or not Hisako, maybe I won't tell you, but somebody tells him that like this is like 6 times bigger than our world, like than the Earth,
Okay.
like massive, massive. And so that'll come up later. But yeah, he hasn't seen barely nothing of this whole place.
Okay, cool. Um, and then something we find out at the beginning, part of the world building, I guess, also part of the plot, is that there is some sort of dark lord who wants to get out of the land, right?
Yep.
And so he is bringing in chaos seeds because humans have an inherently destructive nature.
Yeah.
And so he's hoping that by bringing in a ton of these chaos seeds, that they will destroy the fabric of reality,
Yeah. Yep.
basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And so there's the dark court, and then there's the light court, right? There's these two factions, and we hear about both of them. One, I think the light court is the first book, and you get like 30 seconds of it, and they just talk about it. And then second book, that, and then it like keeps going through all the books, and you hear more about the light and dark court. And yeah, so there's like these two like kind of outer, they're like separate from the land, but still like kind of like controlled by it, if that makes sense. It's hard to
Okay.
explain. And so you learn more about them, and then eventually in the later books, like there's a book where like that's what the whole book is about. Like you learn about kind of a whatever. And so yeah, so there's like a big bad and good battle that goes on like behind the scenes almost, that you
Okay.
learn about as you continue.
Nice. All right. So, do you want to talk about this magic system a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like if you guys have played like an RPG game, really that's what it is.
Yeah.
There is spells, and so when he travels to the kingdom, spells are like kind of like covenanted, right? Like they cost money. People like to hold on to them and stuff. And so basically, I
Yeah.
mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
He goes to that store, right? And they have
Yep.
like super expensive spell scrolls, I guess,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
he can buy
Yeah.
and learn. Um, and so I can't remember for some of the spells, do you have to be like a certain level in order to
Oh
use
yeah,
them and
for
stuff?
sure. Yep. Yep. So certain spell books or scrolls, even in the future, like he'll find some, and he's like, okay, I have to wait to level up like this certain like my light skill or whatever, for the
Right.
magic class. So yeah, so definitely you got to be a certain level.
Okay. Yeah, I think, what are some of your favorite spells that he has, if any?
So his grease spell is
Oh
probably my favorite.
yeah,
That comes in handy so much, and he uses it like so well, and yeah, that's probably my favorite. There's lightning, a lightning
yeah,
spell that he gets, and
yeah.
of course, like we should talk about his familiar,
Oh yeah,
Alma. Like that's like a huge part of this book.
yeah.
And so that's like, yeah, that's super cool. She's awesome. I know that's not the magic, whatever, but she's very, very important.
Yeah, yeah, I liked when she came around, when he summoned her, and
Yeah.
they have like a mental link.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I liked the way that was portrayed, because it wasn't like a direct one-to-one thought exchange.
Yeah.
He had to think about, like there was a time where the hunter had just killed a deer or something,
Yeah.
and Alma was like trying to attack the hunter to get to the deer so that she could eat it.
Yeah.
And he had to like stop her, and then picture the hunter, and then like picture the feeling of family, and
Yep.
send that to her.
Yeah, for
And so
sure.
he almost has to take these different images
Yeah.
and find a way to send them to her, to be able to, get across what he's
Communicate.
trying to say.
Yeah.
And so I really liked how that was kind of portrayed, the
Yep.
way he had to do
I
that.
agree. And so so she's got a couple of skills. I'm pretty sure Bond comes into play in this book. And then the other one I don't think does, so I'll leave it there. But eventually, like her intelligence, not really intelligence, but their communication will increase like a
Okay.
lot, and she becomes more sentient, and it's really cool to see. Um,
Okay.
I'm like she's probably like my second favorite character in the whole book, probably the
Yeah.
whole, yeah, for sure. Or not the whole book, but like the whole series.
Yeah, yeah, she was a lot of fun. I really liked the way that he used her. Like he could send her up in the
And
trees.
then she could send him pictures of like
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
And the cool thing about that too, also, again, with the communication, like he asked like, how far away are they? But she's like way up in the sky. Like she has no idea of like distances. Like
Yeah.
everything just kind of is what it is to
Yep.
her.
Yep.
And so she wasn't able to respond with an exact like, oh, they're like this far away.
For sure.
And I just liked the way that was portrayed. It felt very like real. Like
Yeah.
it's not like an easy thing to just use this familiar. It's something that you have to like work at, and partner with, and try to
Yep.
find ways to understand each other. And so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, what are some of your favorite characters that we got to see in these books?
All right. So of course, like Richter, main character, like he's pretty awesome, but Scion probably wins the award in my opinion of
I would
best
agree.
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scion is the way that they, introduction, and just all of the series, scenes that take place until they're like brothers, like close. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like eventually, like they become like brothers, like they're family. And man, I just love every time Sign comes in play. I just crack up, dude. He is so funny, and he's so willing to just like fuck with Richter like really bad. And like
Yeah.
Richter, of course, is just like takes it because he's like, that's my brother, whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would say Scion, and then Alma, and then Richter. Those would be my, from one to three would be my top three.
Nice. Yeah, I liked Scion a lot. I thought he had a pretty interesting backstory with
Yeah.
the human he hates, or he
Yep.
used to hate
Yep.
humans.
And he went through that whole that
The
whole thing
trial thing in the
yeah, the trial,
dungeon.
exactly. Yeah, that's his whole backstory. Really, that's the only reason why he hates humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I agree.
I really liked that whole scene, because it was terrifying.
Yep.
Because he's just like stuck in this eternal loop
Yeah.
forever. unless he can figure out why the guardian or whatever kept asking him, like, why did your friend die? Like, why did they die? And he's just reliving this over and over and over. And I think they said when he finally came out of it, he was there for 3 days or something.
Yep, 3 days. That's exactly right.
And he just goes through this trial. He's reliving this horrific event over and over in real time. And eventually he comes to the decision that it doesn't matter why his friend died. Like, he's gone and he has to like move on, and he has to like accept that not all humans are bad, and that it was this group of humans that did like a terrible thing. And so when he finally comes out on the other side of that, he has a different perspective on humans in general. He had already come to like Richter, but I think when he came out on the other end of that, he had a very different perspective.
And that is the moment when they like their friendship, like they were just like you said, friends. That's the moment where they became family. When he finished that and came out, that was it. They are like blood brothers, you know?
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And then Scion has a little girlfriend type person, Daniela.
Yep.
And I don't understand how the fuck she's alive.
What do you mean?
Because she got stabbed like through the heart in the Crypt Mistress battle. Like, she got straight up impaled.
Yep. So she did get impaled, but you just remember that there's like some healing magic where like you get stabbed through the heart, and if you get healed, you're healed, right? Like you're better. And I think that's why. Yeah, because I do remember that was weird to me as well. But yeah, there's even Scion when they had the fight in Eve, right, with the when they were trying to rescue all the non-human like refugees or whatever. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So Scion got impaled through the chest, right, on a spike.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, or like maybe the stomach. And so Richter was like, "Hey, I'm gonna count to 3 and I'm gonna pull you off." And he counted 1 and pulled him off, like, and made a joke about it in his head or whatever, really quick. Scion was like messed up, and he cast like heal, and then somebody else cast heal, and it was like sealed up.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like health points, like
right.
if your health points don't fall to 0, then you can heal all the wounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good to know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a game, dude. It's like Skyrim. I really compare it to Skyrim. Like, that's like a very close comparison. Maybe not the medieval part, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to talk about Richter for a second, and he definitely wasn't my favorite character, despite him being the main character.
Yep.
But I think there was so many opportunities for this character to have more depth, I guess. Just because, like, I think that it would have been such a phenomenal subplot if when he got sucked into the game, he was really concerned about getting home. And then over the course of...
I'm just going to stop you right now, because there is a reason why he's not. It gets explained. There's a reason why he's not worried about home.
Because he definitely remembers home.
But he doesn't worry. And there's literally a reason for that. There's like, I don't want to say it, but there's a reason. Like, they explain why he's not worried about it, why he's not like concerned or freaked out. They explain that, and it comes to light, and you see it.
Okay. Do you know what book that gets explained in?
I would probably say book like 5, I think, or maybe 4. And again, I'm pretty sure there's 8 books.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. So I think 5 or 4 or 5.
Okay.
But there's like a solid reason for it, and again, like it really does like lay out like all the questions you've asked me. Like, there's answers for them later. Like,
okay.
Every single question you've asked me, there's answers for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought it would have been, I just have this like scene in my head that
Yeah.
I wish we had gotten in these first couple books. And I wish, and maybe the way it plays out is like way better than the way I'm thinking of it.
Yeah.
But I would have loved if he had gotten into the land and he had been really concerned about getting home. And the whole time he's like trying to get back home.
Yeah.
He gets the portal magic and he's like, oh, like I can create a portal back to my home. Like that would be awesome. Like, if he was thinking like maybe I can use this to get back home. But then he realizes that, these people, even though like, whether he thinks it's a game or whatever, like these people that are in this world, they're worth saving too. And they're worth like sticking around for.
Yeah.
And I think there could have been like a really impactful scene of
for sure
if he had this choice between going home or saving his friends in this world. And then he chose to stay in the world. I'm like, man, that could have been so deep.
I'm with you totally. But let me just say this. So there was a mental block put on all chaos seeds when they get transferred to the land. And just for that feeling exactly. Like I want to go home. There's a mental block put on him. And again, that's like explained in detail, like very deep detail later on. So that's why. But I agree. I think that would be cool.
So he can still remember his home. He just can't. He doesn't feel anything about.
Yeah. Well, so he can still like there's scenes where like he remembers his mom and whatnot. But
Facebook.
Yep, exactly. He just doesn't have the feeling of like, oh, why am I here? Like I need to get home.
Yeah.
Like that's and that again, they explain why that is blocked, but that is blocked on purpose.
Okay.
Yep.
Right on. So then we got Hisako.
Yes, Hisako. I love Hisako. I love her.
And she's one of the first people we meet, right? When he stumbles out of the glade.
Yeah. Well,
she's the leader, right, of the wood sprites.
Yep. So he stumbles out of the glade and then Scion, and I don't think it's Diana or whatever her name is. But Scion's there, and that's like where he first meets Scion. And then so Richter has the gift of tongues, right? He can speak all languages. And so he speaks their language, and they're like, whoa, like what the heck? Like, all right, we'll take you to the Hearth Mother, who is Hisako.
Right.
And they take him there, and Hisako's like, I can sense that you're different. If you prove yourself with this mission, which is killing the wolves, I will let you live, basically, is what she says. But anyways, her character arc, man, is so cool. There's like some points in the future books where like, she's like one of the most powerful magic users in the land. Like she's like incredibly powerful. She's a master of a place of power. Like she's like, sorry, I got my cat here. He's jumping up.
Oh,
anyways, she's like extremely powerful. And so like, man, there's some points in the later books where like she uses some magic that is like, it would like put me on my toes. It's insane. Like it's hard to explain. I'm not going to say anymore, but yeah, it's crazy. So she's an awesome character. She helps Richter out a ton. And of course, Richter helps her out a ton. So yeah, so then she, of course, like comes to see the planting of the quickening, right? Which is the celestial tree.
Yeah.
Basically the rebirth of the pixies, which is like, they've been gone forever. Like he is like the reason why the pixies are back. And that's like the sprites have been waiting for them for thousands of years. And so like,
yes. Yeah. I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so she's like really in his debt, like big time. But of course, like she's still like, like give and take or whatever. But she's like willing to do whatever. And they take care of each other. They fight together. They, do stuff together. It's awesome. Her character arc is just awesome.
I love that scene when they plant. I think it was during the quickening. They get the little sprite, the little fairy, right?
Yep, pixie, the pixie,
the pixie,
the Celeste, yeah, exactly.
And the pixie was singing this song of all this loss, like all her people died, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, yep.
And I remember I really liked that scene.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so when he basically his first fight or whatever, Scion and him, part of the thing with the wolves was to, because Hisako was like, you got to kill the wolves, they're causing issues. And then Richter's like, wait, I found the problem. It's the goblins, right? They're like poisoning the wolves or whatever, making them rabid. And so Sion and him have to like go like, basically destroy this goblin encampment and like they poison him or whatever. And they battle this caster and then of course the leader and the staff that the caster has, inside of it is the basically like a crystallized pixie. And that's
Right.
like that it's the only one ever. Like it's like they have all died out. There was a curse, a plague, and this is not ruining anything, but all of them died. Like
Yeah.
it was bad. And so like, yeah, it was just a big deal. And that dude, the whole, and man, with the quickening, the tree, like even in the later books, like it just gets so much better.
Yeah.
Queen Alora, right? Who's the pixie? That's who awakens.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that ruining anything? Did you?
No,
Okay.
that's all explained.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Queen Alora, she like, yeah, her growth is crazy cool too. I'm seeing that whole thing and how that plays out in this village is awesome and stuff. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's a cool part.
Nice. I really kind of like this. I forget what his name is, but the dwarf who's the smith.
Crom.
Crom.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Crom's awesome, man. Crom is awesome. He's like he, Nick Podell, the way that he does his voice, right? Crom's voice, and some
Yeah.
of the stuff that he says, even in later books, even in the second book, is hilarious. But like, man, that dude's like, he is funny. He is like really funny.
I love the scene where they're gonna build like this forge, like this
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. And they're all
in the village.
Yep.
And he's telling Richter's like, oh, how would we get this super special forge? And he's like, oh, you'd have to get this seed core or what, some sort of core.
It was yeah,
And,
exactly.
And he's like you'd never find one in a million years. And Richter's like, if I were to find one, would you swear fealty to me and do whatever I ask, basically? And he's like, yes, Lord Richter, if you could ever find one. And he's like laughing at him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would swear fealty to you. And Richter's like, does it look like this? And he like pulls up the core that he had just gotten in the dungeon or whatever.
So another thing with that too, I think before we should finish that, we need to talk about Randolphus, because Randolphus is a part of that. You remember Randy, right? He calls him Randy.
Yes, but remind me what he does.
So he is. So when they
is he the spirit?
No. So he's when Richter was in the Kingdom of Eve, when he was with Mama said like, here, he was like the scribe for the late King of Eve, and his name was Randolphus, and he basically like the entire series, like he is like Richter's like. Randolphus does so much. Like he keeps all the books. He takes care of all the problems. He does everything. The spirit, of course, helps too.
Yeah.
But so in that scene, and again, like you were right there. He's messing with him, and then after that whole thing, when he's like, I won, he looks over to Randolphus, and he's like, did you get all that? Did you write all that down?
Yeah.
Randolphus is like, yep, I sure did. I sure did. I got it all. And then of course Crom is like, oh crap. Crap. But yeah.
So do we see that forge get used for some really cool stuff later on?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Yep, most definitely. Big time. That forge is like, yeah, it's like key to their whole village.
Okay.
Yep.
And then speaking of something being key to the village, Richter realizes he can sell his potions from the glade.
Yeah.
And so he makes a ton of money.
Yes.
Doing that.
There's in the future, because I think in the second book, like he does that, but in the future, like that becomes like a huge, like that pretty much is like all the money for the village. Like he like,
okay.
He like, uses the crap. And that's not ruining anything because that's expected, right? Like, we know he's going to use it because he has it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about Yoshi? Should we talk about Yoshi?
Yeah. Yoshi's,
so
go ahead.
So he's this swordsman that that is training Richter.
Yeah.
And he's kind of an asshole, but sometimes I'm kind of like, yeah, Richter, like fucking come on.
Yeah.
Like
yep. So Yoshi is He's an adept swordsman, and again, there's classes, right? I'm not sure the level, but I think adept is like pretty high up there. Like before master or before it's up there. It's hard to get to adept. And so he's a half sprite, half human, and he has been with Hisako as like her guard and her main, like whenever she goes, he's with her, protects her. And again, she's the hearth mother of the just, I guess, the hearth 3 is what it's called.
Yeah.
But so when Hisako offers him to train Richter, right? Like it is like he gets a stick, or he picks his stick and just beats him all over it. And Richter's like, just like, dude, fuck. And the next day he's like, oh my God, fuck this crap, dude. I can't even walk. Like, this dude beat the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And then, so that's it. And he is kind of mean, but again, later in the books, like we learn a lot more about him. And he gets, but yes, he's pretty mean. But he is, he is like so dedicated to the hearth mother. If she tells him to do something, like train him, he'll do it no matter what. Even if he hates his life because of it, he will do it. He is like fully like loyalty to her for sure.
And he does get Richter better at swordplay.
Yes, definitely.
Richter does
for
improve.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Over the course of the second book.
Yep.
All right. Are there any other characters you want to talk about? What about so there's like this AI, basically, like this spirit AI in the village that helps him with stuff.
I just forget his name. I know all about. Oh man, I know all about him, but I just forget what he calls him.
He's super weird, and he helps.
Dude, it's like on the. Hold on.
Doesn't it start with an F?
Oh my goodness gracious! Can you look it up? My phone's like charging over there. Or wait, no, I can do it. Hold on. Come on, why, dude?
Futon.
Yeah, that's it. Futon. Okay. Yep, that's it. Futon. You got it. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get back. Okay, I'm ready.
So Futon is a funny character, and he's described on the wiki here as Richter's interface for his village.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
And I just thought, because he can't like Richter has to tell him how to do things like exactly. Otherwise, it just goes over his head. And so I loved all the interactions with
for sure.
Futon.
Me too. Yeah. When he was first introduced, when Richter first got the whatever the relic or I can't remember, but basically first got his village, right? Like Futon showed up and he's like, whoa, what the heck? And so Futon is like basically part of the spirit of the last Miss Village, like owner, I guess, or king or whatever you want to call it, from like thousands of years ago. He's just like part of his spirit. And again, yes, like there's a lot of the funny scenes where like when like Futon would like show up and Richter's like, don't ever show up that close to me ever again. You need to stay 6 feet away. Yeah. And make sure you tell me and show up before you get that close. He's like, I will turn you pink if I have to.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. But you're exactly right. Like there's lots of times, even in the future with the Mist Villagers, because Futon can like control the Mist Villagers, and they're a key part in like building the village, right? Because they're workers. They can change their shape, they can dig holes, they can do stuff, move bodies, whatever. So you're on point. He's got to be very exact, and there's plenty of times where he might make like a mistake, and he's like, oh, I told him the wrong thing or whatever. And
right.
But his character, there's moments like in the future where you like see like Richter's like, did he just like maybe like show some humor? Like,
interesting.
Yeah. So and you can never really tell, but it's funny like when he does it, because he's got this like deadpan voice, right? Deadpan. It's always the same. But there's times like where Richter will say, Futon, did you do this instead of this? And he's like, well, yes, Lord, you told me to do this, and you can hear like the inflection, right, a little bit, and it's like
a little bit of like not sarcasm, but like he's got some feeling behind.
Yep, exactly, and it's so subtle, but I could tell, and it always made me laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's these ghostly villager type people, right? That can turn their hand into a hammer.
Those are the mist workers. Yeah, those are
Okay.
what Futon. So
He's in control of them, right?
so Richter can summon them. You know, they cost mana, right? There's a mana pool. There's a mist village mana pool, and it takes mana to keep up the mist, like the the area that
The border.
yeah, the border of the mist village. And so he can summon a certain amount of them. I think it's like maybe at the beginning like 4. Um, but yeah, so either Futon can summon them, and there's some times where like Richter will tell Futon, like, summon 2 mist workers a day, because he'll like leave to help this person, or to like dig this hole or dig this trench or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, so both Richter and Futon can summon the mist workers.
Okay.
Yep.
And also they're building a ship in the village.
Yeah.
They're building a ship.
Okay. Yep.
What else were they building?
So he wanted to build I forget the girl's name that's the builder, but he asked her to build a Hitachi vessel, which is like a very like pretty high level magic vessel, and you got to like use a soul stone that's like infused with like a very powerful, like water, whatever elemental or something.
Yeah.
And so that we don't learn a lot about that now. That'll kind of come into play later.
Okay.
But yeah, so that, and then of course Crom, and then who else should we talk about? That I think we've covered like a lot of the characters.
I did like Jeremy the Rogue.
Oh,
and then he died in the second book when they were gonna go save the elf lady.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, that whole scene. And then also let's just talk really quick about imbuing arrows. So that's a skill. That's the skill that Richter got. Of course, like learned from Sion when Sion was like, all right, I trust you, I'll try and teach you. That skill, like literally the rest of the series is like one of the main magic things that is ever used. Like it's like it's always there. Like not like in a like way like that's all he does, but like it's pretty paramount to the rest of the book. And so that's super cool. And that even grows in future books and stuff. But yeah, so that battle, was it was pretty wild. Pretty wild. It was kind of sneaky and kind of bad, and that's where Sion really got hurt. Bad and whatnot. And yeah.
All right, so I have a few quotes here that I thought were kind of funny. So the Crom, the dwarf, he says, I forget what he's talking about exactly. They needed metal for something, and somebody offered, oh, well, we can go get these people's metal or something. He's like, I would sooner make love to an anthill in winter than use the metal of those accursed bastards.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Dude, the Crom, like I'm telling you, like his quotes continuing are like they are so raunchy and so funny. Like the next books, like he is a hilarious character in the show. Probably the funniest, I would say. Like I would probably laugh the hardest at his quotes than anybody else's.
Okay. We get an interesting quote at the very end of the book of I forget who asked this. It might have even been Randolphus or somebody. But they said, what do you want us to do about the prisoners? And then the Richter says, what prisoners? Yeah. And so in the village while he was gone, there's prisoners there for whatever reason.
Oh man, dude, that whole the next book, that whole arc is just nuts. I won't say anymore, but I'm saying like that was definitely Randolphus, and that whole situation gets a little wild, and it's fucking awesome.
Okay, yeah, because I was like,
I mean, it's like, dude,
I did not expect the book to end there.
Dude, there's I probably shouldn't. I'll just say there's a scene in the next book that is like the most like violent, like cringy, like stomach twisting thing ever. It works well, like like plans out well and stuff, and it works well. But it's like one of those things where like, oh my god, dude, like holy crap. And you'll once you read it, you'll know. And people that have read it, you'll know. You know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
One of the quotes that I laughed the hardest at
Yeah.
was at the very end of the second book. They get back from the crypt mistress place, and he's talking to Hisako.
Yep.
And she says, or he comes in, he's like, yeah, I'm not feeling too good. She's like, I can see that. Just how did you get infected with cankerous rot?
Yeah.
And then he says, well, there was this whole thing with a crypt mistress. And she says, say no, say no more. Just remember, when you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. And he's like, what? And she's like, I'm not one to judge.
I know, dude.
And he's like,
yeah.
I did not just fuck a crypt mistress. And like that whole thing with the crypt mistress was, oh
Was
my
wild.
God, that
Yeah,
was
for
so
sure.
creepy and
Yep.
gross
It was
and
weird,
gnarly.
man. It's weird.
Um,
But yeah.
yeah, because did the crypt mistress originally appear as like a beautiful woman, or was she always like the gross
No,
thing? I
yeah,
can't
so
remember.
she was always gross. I mean, she was like intact, right? Like she was, but
Yeah,
she was still like she was like a death magic lady, right?
right.
She was like born of death magic, and so of course that's she probably had holes or whatever. I don't think they described it. You know, there's that moment where she's like talking to Richter and it's like put your fingers in her fucking vagina, right? And she's like,
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
and so she's like weird. She lives off like of course death magic, but she like I think she like kills and then like has sex with the dead people. I'm not
Oh yeah.
quite
I
sure.
think I got that feeling too.
Yeah, yeah, but it was weird. That was definitely a weird moment for sure.
Do we see any more crypt mistresses in the future?
No, we do not. We see a lot more death magic users that are pretty powerful. That's all I'll say. But no more
Okay.
no more crypt mistress.
Okay.
Yep.
Um yeah, so those were the quotes that I had.
Yeah.
What are your favorite moments from these two books? I know it's hard to separate them from the other books, but
No,
if you
you're
can
good.
remember.
You're good. Yep. So I would probably say favorite moments would be the planting of the quickening.
Yeah.
And when he there was a moment where Hisako hugged Richter and was like crying, like emotional, right? And she like I can't remember. She's like, you don't realize what you've done. You know, you've given back our other half, like to our
Yeah.
race, something like that. That was a huge moment. I was crying, like it was
Yeah.
like super emotional, and that was awesome. And then probably I would say maybe a second one is when I would probably say when Sion has his like trial. I would
Yeah.
probably say that's it. There's of course a lot more, but those probably are my like two favorite, like most like emotional, like where I like really felt it and got the chills when I was listening moments.
Yeah. For
Or the
sure.
moment, like the moment where Sign did his trial, like when he was in the cave or whatever. That's yeah.
Right on. I think for me is yeah, definitely the trial with Sion. But also where they are infiltrating I'm trying to remember exactly how all this works out, but somebody's wife or something, she's like this elf lady,
Oh
and they
yeah.
have to
So
like infiltrate this
yep,
building to
yep.
get her out.
So that is Tarad. Um, that is
Yes.
his like girlfriend, and then so they have to go to like the count's. It's a count or a lord, and basically infiltrate into his house because he's like using her as like a sex slave, basically.
Right.
But yeah, for sure. That's a great scene.
I liked that. I liked that whole thing, and
Yep.
Jeremy dies at the end of
Yeah.
that. And I just really like that. And I was also playing Call of Duty at the time. And
Nice.
so like we're all like all of us are kind of like infiltrating our own thing in Call of
Cool.
Duty. And
Hell
so
yeah.
then I'm listening to this scene where they're infiltrating
And you're like,
this
dude, I'm
Lord's
beating these
estate.
motherfuckers up. Let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then when he gets his dragon familiar.
Yes, Alma. Yeah, Alma's like incredible. She's freaking awesome.
I really
Yeah,
liked how that all worked out.
dude, I'm telling you, like the next couple books, she like grows insanely. Like her arc is like, I may have said this about other characters, but like if I stop and think, like Alma's arc and the growth through the next books is like by far the most impressive, like for sure.
Okay.
Yep, her
Nice.
arc is awesome.
And then lastly for me was the Crypt Mistress battle. Like that whole battle was insane.
Yeah. Yep.
And not only the battle itself, but getting through that whole dungeon.
For sure.
That was a lot of fun, and
And
there's a lot of really cool action.
yep, and that was to activate his his place of power, which is the Mist Village, has got, I think it's light, dark, water, and earth. I think it's got four ley lines that run through it. And so each that mission was to unlock one of those powers, and then once he unlocks it, he gets mastery over it. Not like mastery, but he gets, well, no, it is mastery. He gets mastery over that power. And so of course there's like, 4 of those missions or I guess one.
So
or go ahead.
does that add to the village's mana pool then?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say, yes, it does. And then it unlocks some more powers for the village too. But it mostly like enhances like Richter's like power, like with, so once he unlocks, like, let's say I can't remember which power it was that he went to get the Crypt Mistress. Like that whole mission was to unlock a power. It was either light or it was something else. But once he unlocks a power, he can then like unlock power in other people, right? So he can like unlock light power in his villagers, or he can do this.
Right.
And that's why it's like such a big deal. And I think he gets like 50% resistance like to that magic, and then 50% like addition to his power on that level or whatever. I know it's kind of confusing. Okay. It's just like a game,
cool. Yeah. All right. Well, any other favorite moments from these books?
I would probably say those are my 2 favorites. I mean, there's several good ones, but that's probably like the 2 that like really hit me hard.
Right on. So for future book questions or theories, I think the thing that I'm most interested to see in later books, if I keep reading, is just I want to see. I want to get to the point you're talking about where we learn. I want him to break whatever is holding him back from going home. Like I want him to like think about home. And so I'm really interested to see how all that plays out.
Yep.
I also would be super interested to know if he ever does go back home. Like I would love to see if he ever makes it back home or decides to make that choice. And so, because I think the thing that makes me think of that is, did you ever, it was on TV when I was young, so I don't know if you would have caught it, but did you ever watch a show called Monster Rancher? It was like an anime Saturday morning cartoon kind of.
That sounds familiar, but I don't think I can like recollect it.
So it's pretty much The Land, and I bet if you watched it, you would actually really like it. It's like this kid named Genki, and he has Genki, and there's like this really popular game called I think it's called Monster Battle or something.
Yeah.
And he plays it on his PlayStation.
Okay.
And he gets the game before it's released, like this really shady, like just like this kind of shady, like video game seller guy, like gives him the CD for it. Yeah. And he puts it into his PlayStation and everything swirls and he goes into the game. Oh, and then he lives in like this big MMO type thing where it's almost like Pokemon, like everybody has like a monster kind of companion.
Yep.
And then they level them up. And if you go throughout this world, you get these discs that are like these stone discs, and you go to these temples that are way out in the middle of nowhere, and you put the disc down like you would a CD in an old PlayStation, and it spins and spins and spins, and then you get your monster, right? And it's such a fucking good show. It makes, just talking about it makes me want to go back and watch it. Like,
I'm literally gonna Google it. Say the name one more time.
It's called Monster Rancher.
Monster Rancher. Okay, I got it.
And it is so much fun. Like it is such a fun little show.
Yeah.
But there was this one episode later on in the series, and as a kid, you don't really think about like, oh, will Genki ever go home? It's just like in your head, you're like, oh, he's in this new world now. And like everybody would love to, like every kid would love to
for
do
sure.
that,
Yep.
But there's this episode where he has the choice to go home, and either he has the choice or someone forces him out of that world and he goes home. And I just remember this episode, like it's just like lasered into my brain. He gets teleported back home, and the next scene is him, or like the next episode or whatever, he's like laying on his bed, and there's just like his windows are in front of him and there's rain hitting the windows, and he is just like sobbing because
wow.
he did not want to like leave, because like he was there for like years, and he met all these people in that fantasy world, and all these creatures, like his little Pokemon type thing called Mochi, is Mochi. Like they were so like, they're so close. And so now he doesn't have Mochi anymore, and he doesn't have his friends, and the world that he was in is in trouble. And dude, I just remember that like hitting me so hard when I was a kid. And so I would love to see something like that happen. Long story short, I would love to see something like that happen.
I'm glad you told me that, because like I said, I'm gonna check that out like right when we're done with this.
Dude,
like right when we're done with this, because it's probably on YouTube. If it's that old, it's got to be on
it's
YouTube.
On YouTube.
Like, I could watch it exactly.
Sure. Yeah,
I might literally do that right when we're done.
I really think you would like it. It was a lot of fun. It was honestly way better than Pokemon. Like it was so
dude, I watched
worked.
the shit out of Pokemon when I was younger, dude. Like the shit out of Pokemon. Like I love Pokemon and Digimon. I watched both of those like crazy.
Digimon.
Yes.
Oh my god, I loved Digimon way more than I loved Pokemon. I was obsessed with Digimon.
I would probably agree with that, but I think that I had like a Pokemon phase that lasted a while. Hold on. I gotta pause. My fire's going out. Give me just a second. Let me put another. Come on, buddy. You gotta get down. I'm sorry.
So you were saying you went through a Pokemon phase?
Yes. So I went through a Pokemon phase first. I think when I was like little, like I was probably like 6 or 7 or something. And then of course Digimon was out at the time, but I just really liked Pokemon. And then a friend of mine that I went to school with was like, "Oh, we should watch Digimon." I was like, "Okay, I'm down. Let's try it." And I watched it, and I was like, "Dude, this is cool."
Yeah.
Like and then I played the games. Like I played all the games and everything. And I both of them I loved. They're both awesome. And so, I would still like watch. I would probably go back and watch them today. I haven't done it, but I probably would,
So I did a rewatch. It was years ago. It was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. But I did a rewatch of Digimon.
Nice.
And it is like, super cringy in the way that Saturday morning cartoons are.
Dude,
but
I know
it's so
it is, but
nostalgic.
It's good though.
Like,
it's like
I love it. I love it all the same.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
And have you seen this Digimon Adventure Try thing that's come out?
Like recently?
Yeah, within the last like 4 years.
Nope.
So it's Ty and Matt and Izzy and all the original Digimon kids, but they are like in their 20s.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah. And like what a gift. Dude. What a gift to Digimon fans, right? And like
dude.
And like it's a more like matured show, and I'd been itching to watch it for a while, but the past year or so I've been like anime. I'm like, I just don't really want to watch it right now.
I've got lots of like reality TV that's going on here, like Euphoria and all that crap.
But now that I've gotten back into SAO, I'm like, dude, I'm totally ready to watch the new Digimon. But funny story about Digimon. So I started watching Pokemon when I was little, and I was obsessed with it. Like I was obsessed with it for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
But then my mom read some article, like super my mom was like ultra Christian, and she's
Yeah.
like she's way laid back now.
She was like checking stuff out. She's like, is he watching this? I need to learn about it.
She's like, she fucking vetoed Pokemon. And she's like, I don't know. I read an article about them using dark magic and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God. And you know what she read? You know what she saw?
What she said
was that Pokemon was from do you remember the store Wizards of the Coast?
Yeah.
And they did a lot of like gaming type stuff.
Yep.
That's what she saw. She's like, it's made by wizards. And like,
oh yeah.
She's like people practicing dark magic. And dude, when I got older, when I got older to like know the difference, to like even know what the fuck she was talking about, I let her have it. I was like, do you know how fucking stupid that sounds?
Oh, how did she react to that? Just really quick. How did that go? I
mean, not too bad, honestly. Like once I explained to her like what Wizards of the Coast was and like why she was so fucking misinformed.
Okay. Yeah.
She was like, oh yeah, like you probably could have watched that. And I'm like,
right.
God damn it, Mom. Like I missed out on an entire Pokemon phase. But
goodness,
because of that, I started watching Digimon because my mom looked into that and she didn't find any dark magic.
She's like, all right, no dark magic.
Somehow she fucking okayed Digimon. And I'm just like, all right, so I guess we're watching Digimon now. And I got so fucking obsessed with Digimon, dude. For years, I was obsessed with Digimon. And so I watched it all the way from the beginning because the show had just come out when it came out after Pokemon did, I think. And so I caught the whole thing from the very beginning of the show to like 3 or 4 seasons in. And dude, the ending of so there's the first season and then the second season, and the second season is just a continuation of the first season.
Yeah.
And dude, the end of the second season, they all get back from the digital world into the real world. But all the Digimon came over into the real world.
Okay,
so they're like in Tokyo and all these Digimon are fucking fighting. And it was like the best thing to ever happen to Saturday morning cartoons.
Awesome,
it was
dude.
So fucking cool.
That's awesome.
And so
here's a question, just really quick. At the time, did you have to wait for like a single episode every Saturday morning?
Yeah. Every Saturday you couldn't binge it. Like dude, every Saturday I was there in front of the TV with a VHS tape, recording it on the TV.
Yeah.
Like, oh, next Saturday is the finale. Like getting up at like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to watch Digimon at 8.
Dude, that's crazy. See, you're like, almost 10 years older, or maybe a little bit less, but like we'll call it 10 years.
Sure.
And so I remember that stuff I could watch. YouTube was like not fresh, but it was like, a little earlier, right? Or whatever, when I was that age. But I could watch Digimon on YouTube. And I remember my mom would like, she had a like an old MacBook, right? Like one of the ones that you had in school, like really old ones. And I would just freaking YouTube and I would watch it. When I watched Pokemon, it would be on TV when I did it. But Digimon, I remember just like, Mom, she would streaming that shit. Yeah, she'd only let me watch like an episode or 2, right? And then I have to go outside or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely I hit up YouTube hardcore for that.
Yeah, you were born in a very lucky generation. Yeah, dude, because that and Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the other one. Did you ever watch Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Dude, that was one where it was like, dude, you have no idea how serious I was about it. Like every Saturday, no matter what, I was like, Mom, I don't care what the fuck you have planned.
I'm
at 8 o'clock.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I am here and I am watching Yu-Gi-Oh! I cannot miss one fucking episode, Mom.
Yep.
And
dude, I'm with you. I was the same way. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And so when the PlayStation 2 came out, right? My mom, we got one.
Yeah.
And there was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, and it's again been a very long time. But basically it was just card battling, right? Like you would battle a certain dude and you'd pick your cards and you could combine them and, make the big whatever and
Yeah.
whatnot. And dude, I remember I played that with, I had a friend named Austin at the time. And again, like we were like 9 years old, like, or maybe 10. And I would go to his house and we would fricking like that's like all we would do all night. Like we would like say we're going to bed and we would just play that Yu-Gi-Oh game all night long, dude. Like for like literally until like 6 a.m, all night.
Yeah.
And yeah. Those were good times, man.
Yeah, dude. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh so much. Especially the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
It was like they're on that island participating in this tournament.
Yep.
The guy can put people's souls in a card, and it was just so like mysterious.
Yeah.
I almost want to go back and watch. I want to go back and watch
I
these.
Would. I honestly would. I would not lie. Like I would even talking about him right now. Like I would love to watch all Pokemon, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh. I would absolutely go back and watch those, and like I would be stoked to do it. Like
100%.
Fuck all the haters, whatever. Like I would go watch those, no problem.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, I forgot where I was even going with all
I know
that,
we went on a little bit of a rant, but that's
that was
okay.
a little bit of a tangent. We're not even talking about the land anymore.
That's okay though. That's okay though. It's all good shit. People will like it.
I love that shit.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, all right. So any final thoughts on
Yep.
okay, so yeah, we'll follow that train of thought. So
okay.
Any final thoughts on the Land series?
Man, other than the fact, like I said, like you and I and people that have watched us and you and I have similar taste. I think that the literature RPG like genre is a little weird, right? It's kind of different and it's a little hard to grasp onto, but I'm telling you, and people can call me crazy, but I'm so sure of it. If you continue this series and you read more and you can get through it and you like it, it's like it pays off. Like it is so good. The last book, little slow, but it sets up the next book that he's writing so well. Like it's like, dude, like I've read you and I have read so many books together, like so many, right? For like years, like 2 or 3 years, we've been reading books together. Yeah. And this is like I love the Dresden Files, but honestly, dude, and again, Dresden Files is there, but like the Land is like, the Land's probably above that for me.
Yeah,
it probably is. It's close call, but yeah, it's probably above that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just good. People need to give it a try. Just try it out, see what you think. At least get for the first 2 books. The first book is slow. Take some time. Get through the second one. The first one's only, I think, like 7 hours. The second one's a little bit longer. So it's like reading one audiobook. Other than that, no, I think we've discussed all of it. So we're all good.
Yeah, I think at some point I will pick up the third book. I don't know if it'll be soon, but
hey,
I'll pick it up at some point.
I'm not gonna force you. You're all good. I'm just saying it does get better. It does get better.
Sure. One thing that I am, speaking of all this anime, one thing that I am super grateful for is I would have never started rewatching SAO, Sword Art Online, if I hadn't started these books.
Oh,
because
nice.
reading these books, I like in that first one, it made me think so much of Sword Art Online, not like in the story necessarily.
Nope, I get it.
I
thought about it too. Absolutely.
And I'm just like, at some point in reading that first book, I was like, you know what? I just want to watch like the first couple episodes of SAO just to get a little nostalgia buzz. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I watched them, and a 30-minute episode turned into 2 30-minute episodes, and then which turned into literally 5 hours straight of watching SAO. I made it through. I think I made it through the entire first season.
Wow.
The entire first arc of the first season in one day.
Dude, that's one thing about that show is that it is so hard to stop. Like during an arc, like when you get to the end of an arc and you're like, okay, all right, I've gotten through the the stressful part and we figured out what's going on, I can
Yeah.
stop. But I agree, man. There's been times where I would like stay up to like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, like just trying to finish this arc until it ends. Yeah,
Yeah,
that shows nuts.
One of the days that I was watching, one of the first days, I was up literally until 4 a.m. watching it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't believe I've like made it this far. And yeah, I have absolutely loved SAO. I'm gonna watch it tonight. Like I'm so
I think I'm
so
gonna
excited.
start. I think tonight when I get done here, I think instead of Digimon or whatever, I think I'm gonna start Alicization, however it says. I'm gonna start the first episode of that, like right when I get done here in my room. Yep. Because I'm excited for that. That's like my favorite one.
But also just go to YouTube or something and type in Monster Rancher and just watch like 5 minutes or something, just to see what it is.
I've got that typed on a note right here on my laptop. So I will definitely do that. I've got that ready.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me for this podcast tonight and talking about the land. Yes. We are going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell on your way out. You can also follow us on Twitter at Files Fantasy to join our little community over there. We'll be back soon with some spoiler-free content. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what our next few episodes are going to look like, but we'll be back soon with some spoiler-free stuff and hopefully a jam-packed month of book discussions and author interviews. Really, really, really looking forward to doing the Night Angel trilogy. We have some people joining us for that too, some other booktubers and podcasters that are hopping on that train for Night Angel. So we'll be doing that probably in March. It might get pushed out a little bit with all the moving and stuff. We'll see how it goes, but we'll let you guys know. We'll do updates and whatnot. If there's anything that you would like to see us discuss on the show, or if you just want to say hi, then feel free to do so in the comments below. We love to hear from you guys. It's probably one of my favorite things about running this channel is hearing from you guys and seeing your comments and stuff. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.
Thank you so much.
Don't fuck a crypt mistress.
Yes, don't do that. Don't do that. And also, just really quick, this is my new kitty. I don't know if you can see him. Oh, you can't see him. It's not gonna work. It's got the weird here. Hold on.
Hold him. So
there
hold
he
him
is.
In front of you. Yeah.
That's my new kitty right there. I got him today.
What's his name?
His name is Stevie.
Stevie.
Yep, Stevie. It was Stevie Nicks was his name. He's a rescue kitty, so we just kept it because we like it.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.